Okay, so how did you like your first experimentation with this program? Did you enjoy it? Are you confused? Give me some feedback. Let me know how you're doing with this. Now that you've had a little bit of a chance to play with this, and I know I did not show you how to save or anything in the last video, and I apologize for that. I kind of got into a time constraint. So if you haven't had a chance to do this yet, go to File and Save. Get yourself a nice folder someplace where you can save all of your files to. You'll be getting a folder when we actually get our books, which I'm hoping will come in anytime. I had been promised that the books would show up this week, but yeah, there's been such a mess in the bookstore. So, and ours is not the only class, and so I know we're just really not where we need to be. But that being said, to save, all you need to do, remember you've had this, get yourself a nice folder. I'm going to put a new folder into my documents for Adobe Illustrator for right now, and that's going to work. Let me open that, and I'm going to save my file. And excuse me, once I do that and I hit save, the file extension will already go in. You can leave all of the default settings exactly as they are, and that file then you can upload and send to me. I want to start another file, so I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to say File, New again. And I'm just going to leave this up with the default that comes up, but I do want to change mine to landscape rather than portrait so that you can see the entire artboard that I'm working on. So I'm going to say OK to this, and I've got a new file come up. We've already played with the pen tools and with the curvature tool, which is another version of the pen tool. So the next thing I'd like to do is show you a little the line tool. Let me bring this up to a larger point line. Let's do a 2-point, and I want to pick a color because I'm bored with black. So let's do red. Oh, oops. Let's change that. I don't want any fill. I just want a line. So let me make that red. There we go. The line tool is nice because you can click and do a line segment. If you have something that you want to do at a specific angle, you can put in all kinds of specifics on here. So I want to do, let's make a 3-inch line, and at 45 degrees, fill line, sure, let's do a fill line. Okay, there is my line. Okay, so maybe I want to extend that line. Let me hold down my control key. My control key will temporarily change to my direct selection key. And if I click off to the side, it will deselect. I can now go back in and click on the anchor point, and I'm going to do a minus 45 degrees. And again, and I just tabbed over because I wanted to make sure it was going to work, give my fill line there, and there's my new line. Again, because when I hover over the point, it changes, my cursor changes from the line tool to being able to grab and make adjustments to that line, and I don't want to do that. So again, I'm going to hold down my control key, click off to the side to deselect, and I'm using my hints that I get to show that I have an anchor there. And if I click on there, and now I want my angle to be down here. Okay, who's good at math? I had to do a little bit of math work there, and so my degrees should be 315 degrees, which should give me the right angle there. And I'll say okay again, and I can keep on going like that and build myself, control key again, and anchor point. And if I want to go straight down, 300 and 270 is correct. say okay, and there I can keep going. I can basically build myself a stop sign doing this. And once I have this, because I've started on the same anchor points, but I haven't actually connected them, I have another little toy that I can do where I can select the two anchor points, zoom in here so that we can see this a little better. But if I just draw and select these 2 points, and actually let me change to my direct select, you'll see there's where the common points are. And I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to select Path, Join. Now, when I go back and take my regular selection tool, those 2 lines have become one. So even though I was starting in the same place at the same anchor point, I was drawing separate lines. Okay? So again, I'm going to go back to my direct selection tool, select those 2 anchor points that are one on top of the other, and I'm going to go to Object, Path, Join, or the shortcut key is Control J. And I have just joined all of these now into one unit. Let me back out. Remember to zoom out, Control, Shift, and your Alt key will zoom you out, as well as the Control minus and Control plus on your keyboard. So let me get my regular selection tool. You can see that that is all one unit now. Everything's joined together. By the way, let me show you some other handy little shortcuts. This is the hand tool. The hand tool allows you to click on the artboard that you're using and move it around. It's just like if you put your hand down on top of a sheet of paper and slid it around on your desktop. It's doing the same thing. You're just moving the entire sheet of paper around. And that's a handy thing to be able to do so that you can move smoothly around the surface. Now, let me show you something else. If you double click on the hand tool, you will fit everything into your window. That's another handy shortcut that you might want to remember. Just double click that. Another shortcut that you might want to remember is on the zoom tool, which remember you can always come down and pick up the zoom. If you pick up the zoom and click, you can zoom in and out. And if you hold down your Alt key, it will change the zoom to a zoom out. But if you double click your zoom tool, look down here, your magnification is, the double clicking the zoom tool will automatically take you to 100%. Okay, now that we've done a little bit with the line tool, we're going to do something else. Let me double click my hand tool so that I can bring this up to where we can see it. In fact, I'm going to zoom in a little bit tighter because I want to again show you something else with the line tool. And I want to get over the top of that anchor, and this time I'm going to keep the same 270 degrees straight down. Let me scroll down with my mouse to where I'm at the bottom of this. If I simply click with my line tool, my lines are only ever going to go where I click. So a line tool, it is not for making continuous lines over a vast amount of space. It's just for drawing a single line. I can change my line, but I can't do continuous lines. It is one line and one line only. It does not continue on for bends. So anything that I want to do, unless I'm prepared to join the items together, you want to use your pen tool for drawing straight lines that are continuous. Okay, now underneath your line, if you hold it down, you also have the arc tool. So with the arc tool, if you just click, you're going to get an arc segment tool option, which you can put in your length, the type of arc, and the slope that you want. I'm going to say fill arc. Okay, there we go. Let me do another one, and let me not fill the arc. There's the arc, but we don't have a fill, so we're not going to fill anything. Let me do this. Let me put a fill in. There's my fill. So if I click again and I say fill arc, there we go. Again, the arcs are just simply pieces that are not run together, and you can draw an arc. You're going to have to use the specified curves, because you can see I can't really control that curve like I could with my pen tool. So if I hit this again and give my slope, let's change the slope. Look at what I've got. Okay, so you have to do something with the dialog box to get the slope of that to change. One of the other tools is the spiral tool. Now with the spiral tool, you can choose to do a spiral built out of a number of segments, and the spiral will decay at whatever given rate you have, and you can specify a radius. I'm going to put in a 1-inch radius and say okay, and there is my spiral. Okay, yes, I can draw and I can rotate and change my spiral, but I need to specify my changes depending on how I drag items and things like that. Notice this way, the curve is always going in the same direction. If I want the curve to go in a different direction, I'm going to have to select the style to go the other direction. It's always going to curve unless I specify in the dialog box. Okay, let's see what else we have in there. We have our rectangular grid tool, which is kind of fun because I can draw a grid. And this is where your up arrow, down arrow, and side to side, because you can change by simply, I'm holding my mouse button, I'm not releasing it, and I can bring up and down and changing the number of lines in the grid simply by using the up, down, right, and left arrows on my keyboard.